Okay, I think we're recording. Try to move this just a little bit closer. Done a little modification on this last time, so this would be Cities of Light, prep storage, Cities of Light 1 prep storage B. Alright, for you fabricators out there, this is the actual size of the door hatch. So your door hatch, if you do this mathematically, you would have 6 points on the outside. This would make up your 12 points. And your door is also 6 points. So altogether, if you count these triangles here, you'd have 12 triangles on the outside and 6 triangles on the inside. That means this door is equal to 1/3 of the overall area of the wooden box, okay? On the front of the wooden box. So as far as sizes, physical sizes, you could actually take your metal, take your sheets of metal that are 4x8, you can cut them into 24 by 8-foot lengths, and so you could actually take a 2-foot and a 2-foot, and you could break it. You could actually make a unit like this. That's 12 by 12. That'd be half a sheet. So you would take a half sheet, half sheet, half sheet. That would take 3 or a sheet and a half of a 4x8 by 32 inch aluminum. If you're going to make a full scale like this, but that's probably too big. So maybe you want to go in increments of 16, 24, and 48. The two 48s go together to make an 8-foot. Fits perfectly on the box. So maybe that's what you want to do. 16, 24, and 48. The 48 would be kind of heavy, but for long-term storage, you want the bigger unit. So this here, 48 inches long. You could take something like that. You could drill a hole. You could lower it down with a truck. You could have a boom on a truck. You could have an auger. You could blast a hole in the ground, and you could drop it in with a cable and bury it. You could leave your rope sticking out or whatever. So as a kind of a marker, there'll be different ways of doing it. So if you have to drop this off and bury it underground to pick up at a later time, you could do it. Maybe nighttime would be good when the big eye in the sky is not watching so much, or on a stormy night or something like that. There'd be ways to do it. The powers that be, they don't have everything on the believers, and God can give us wisdom and understanding of how to beat them at their own tricks, okay? So we're talking about having our hearts ready. If our hearts are not ready, if we're not dwelling in the sacred place of the Most High, and then when the trouble comes, we're not going to have the peace to be able to prepare. Because once fear takes you over, you are finished. So we can't afford to go into fear. We must abide in the sacred place of the Most High in order to be walking in the peace of God when the time comes down, when we're going to see thousands and thousands of people die from the plague that's around us. And those of us who are filled with the presence of the Lord, you can be guaranteed that the plague is not going to touch you. You'll be around it, but the plague's going to die on your skin. But God can do that. All right. He can look after His own, those who have faith, and where we have love one for another, and we take the time to do what we can to help others to get prepared. When time comes, God's going to open up the door to be able to, where these places of light are going to become our habitation. And with what the Lord showed Sarah and Menet, what's coming on America is going to be very, very grim. You know, the cities are going to be without power, the nation's going to be without power, without drinkable water. You drink the water and you come down with the disease that's going to kill you within 24 hours. And food and all that, you're just not going to have it unless you preserve your food and your rations now. Chances are that you're not going to have it and the time's coming. But you don't want to do it just for yourself. You want to do it for others. That's the whole key. God looks at your heart. He's going to look at the motive of your heart and says, why are you preparing? Are you preparing just to look after your own needs, or are you preparing to help others, to love others more than yourselves? That's the love of God. So I just thought, bring the finalization of this here. We are at 6 minutes, and so this is your actual door, your entrance, and so on the if you actually take this flange off, this is where your bolts would be welded onto the face of the framework outside your door. So you would have your studs. So when you actually put on this flange and the insert, you can actually bolt it down. You would actually have your seal on there. So this becomes watertight. It becomes airtight. You might want to have some kind of ventilation in there. If you suck out some of the air, it might help. Or you can make it so it's ventable. I don't know. We're just kind of coming up with this as on the fly. And but you can make it too, where you could actually have if you wanted to put a welded seam to hinge this part here, you could actually put your hinges here, real heavy duty hinges, where you're still able to open and close and to lock it down, okay, to make it tight. So something like this that's 16 inches deep. It'd be good for small stuff. You might want to have maybe beans, lentils, and things like that, vegetables where you could have in there that'd be sealed. And you could on San Dale's site, he's really got a good idea. Hollydale, where you have your machines for, you can take plastic and you can seal things into plastic. You can do that for your Bic lighters, stuff that we use now that we're not going to have later. You could seal it. You could bury it within your beans, your peas, your lentils, or whatever. Or you could take go to the store and get your 1 pound bags or whatever, and you can throw them in here. So you'd have a nice little hat box, or that you can store. I know in a 16-inch deep, you can probably store maybe a couple cubic feet of food. I have to have them really worked out the area. And like a 24-inch would get a little bigger, and a 48-inch deep will allow you to store probably 300-400 pounds of food. So you can you could have this stuff all made and buried. And the aluminum is going to draw the cold. It's going to give you the protection to keep it from rats. But metal does draw the cold, and that's the reason for the insulation. Insulation between the metal and the wood liner. You could probably use some kind of food grade polyethylene sheet that you could actually break and insert over the wood. So that would give you like a wrap all the way around when you're doing food. And so you guys out there that have businesses, or maybe you have the money and time, start sharing this with your buddies and start making these. And when you make them, please don't forget to send me some pictures and the schematics and all that, so I can post them up on my website. So that other people can take it and do something with it. And but we're coming into the time, if you don't make preparation now, you're not going to be in a position to, even if you have the money, to get ready for the times that are ahead. But the most important thing is that we need to be ready right here in our heart. If we're not ready in our heart, we're going to be paralyzed with fear in the times coming. So, if you have something like this, even a small container, a 16-inch container this size, it's going to be worth an ounce of gold, and food and all that. It's going to be, people are not going to trade. If you got the food, you got everything. Gold and silver is just a means of exchange before the total collapse. When the total collapse comes, gold and silver is not going to be worth anything, and but what's going to be worth something if you got something like this. And those that are in the cities of light, and those that are coming in, you could have the blessings of Elijah on this, and God could multiply the food, and so that's not going to be a problem as long as you have some food. God can multiply it. But it's the hardware and like nail clippers or lighters or hardware like files for sharpening axes and sweet saw blades and things like this. Like the bigger containers, you could fill full of stuff like that. You could put all your stuff in there that you need, your hardware, and pour a bunch of beans over top. Use the space. And there's no limit to what you can do. But you need a container that's going to be durable on the outside. It's going to prevent thieves from breaking in. It's going to make it more storable. Keep the rats out. Both the small ones and the big ones. And it's going to be insulated to make it more weather-tight. And you're going to have a complete seal on it. And it's going to allow you to totally bury this in the ground somewhere. The intercessors, you need to rise up. You need to ask the Lord, where can you bury this stuff in advance? Remember that you're doing this for other people. You're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for other people. And stuff like this is going to end up helping many hundreds of people. So let's start doing this. You out there and start making a business of making these preparation containers, prep containers. I don't know what to call them. You guys come up with a name. Okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about making these units bigger. We can actually use them for cabins. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from the East Coast of Canada on this 23rd of, I think it's the 23rd of March 2014.